Welcome back to the starters. Talked a little bit about the Cavs and them going back to the NBA Finals. Let's talk about the Hawks. Had a very phenomenal season, but flame out here getting swept by the Cavs in 4. Let's start there. I mean, you see they join a short list of #1 seeds to be swept in the playoffs. The last team, the 2003 Pistons, in the conference finals to the Nets. Though they went on to do some pretty good things, so maybe that's a good sign for the Hawks. But before we get to their off-season plans, let's talk about what went wrong, not only in Game 4, but in this entire series against the Cavs.
I just don't think they were the best version of themselves. They didn't stick to the game plan of moving the ball. We just saw far too many one-pass or zero-pass possessions. And you want to get the most out of a team without a superstar, everyone needs to touch it a lot. You want to get 15 from DeMarre Carroll. You want to get 12 from Kent Bazemore. The ball needs to circulate. There's a reason why they only had one game this season where a guy scored 30 points and they won 60 games, because everybody got a piece. And that's what I think led to their poor three-point shooting. Everybody wasn't in a flow, and they couldn't stop LeBron on one end of the floor where they had to double him, which was a huge, huge issue. And then in the offensive end, they just weren't themselves.
Look at these numbers. Catch and shoot, three-point percentage during the regular season, nearly 40%, third best in the NBA. And it just got worse and worse as the playoffs went along.
Even on uncontested three.
Yeah. No, they couldn't. They could not hit a shot. They really couldn't.
Yeah, George Karl told Zach Lowe, in a playoff series, you can figure out shooting. You just cover Kyle Korver, all that cute stuff they ran for him all year long. They don't get it as often. And that's what happens in the playoffs and why people say a jump shooting team can't win, because the jump shots get harder and it's harder to get open looks. And that's why I think the Hawks this summer, they need to get somebody who takes bad shots, because Jeff Teague sometimes, he doesn't really want to take the bad shot. He doesn't want to be the guy at the end of the game, and they just need somebody when the shots aren't falling, when the ball isn't moving, to take a bad shot, to get him to the rim. To
someone like they had in Lou Williams?
He would have helped, I think. Yeah.
I think the defensive rebounding obviously hurt too, even hurt Kyle Korver, because when they allow offensive rebounds, they can't get onto the break and get Kyle Korver those open looks. And yeah, you can game plan for Kyle Korver a little bit more in the playoffs and just stick to him as much as possible, but you got to get your D boards. I mean, that was a big problem. They got to get bigger.
Disappointing end, of course, to their season, getting swept by the Cavs here. I had the Hawks in 7, so very disappointing for me. You guys at least had
Perfect
the Cavs.
Atlanta season, though. Great in the regular season, flame out in the playoffs, fits right in with the Braves and Falcons.
Piling on to the Atlanta sports team. But
hey,
look.
I'm a Braves fan, it's sad.
Look, what a season for the Hawks. No one had them winning 60 wins.
No.
I'm sorry. No one had them setting their franchise record for 60 wins. They won 19 straight, of course. First team in NBA history to win 17 games in a calendar month. You had all of the All-Stars. You had them all winning Player of the Month award for the first time, 5 guys.
Their over-under total was the exact same as the Knicks to come into the season.
Right.
So, yeah, no one expected it.
Another great prediction I had, the Knicks making the playoffs. I was on fire this year. And Budenholzer winning Coach of the Year. So, again, this was an incredible season. Living here now, I think it was really cool to go down to the Fortress, or Phillips Arena, whatever you want to call it. We call it the Fortress. And see an energized crowd.
Yeah.
We had gone before this season, of course, when Horford was injured the year before. It was dead in there. It was a library. And a lot of people that are here know that and go to games know that. There was actually an energy this season. And a few things were as fun when the Hawks were on the break and they were trying to find Korver for an open three.
Absolutely.
And they were playing such eye-pleasing basketball. That's the thing about it. The ball just kept moving around, as you said. On defense, they were hustling. They were getting out in transition, getting all those fast break points. Fans wanted to see that and wanted to be a part of it.
And one huge accomplishment for them is that this is their first year together, basically, because Al Horford wasn't there last year. And that's a heck of an accomplishment. And that's what guys talked about in the post-game press conference. I mean, look at us. This is our first year together. If we're still together intact next year, what could we do?
Well,
I mean, this is a great, great stepping stone.
Well, let's get to that. Are they going to be together next year? The two huge key free agent questions with this squad are the unrestricted free agents in Paul Millsap, 2-time All-Star with this Hawks team, and DeMarre Carroll, whose stock skyrocketed this regular season and even into the playoffs before the injury. So can the Hawks retain these guys? They do have some salary cap room. But you can imagine that both Millsap and Carroll, of course, are going to demand a lot more than their current contracts right now.
Absolutely. But Mike Budenholzer has taken so many San Antonio traits when he came to Atlanta. I think another one we're going to see, he's going to try to keep these guys together and not make wholesale changes, because I think that's why the Hawks have been successful this season. And I think that when you get to the conference finals, he knows they're not that far away, really, from the NBA finals. I think their first concern is getting a genuine big, kind of like what the Cavs did with Timofey Mozgov, someone in the middle there who can handle those bigger bodies. But, you know, Damari Carroll, you mentioned, had a great season, and Millsap as well. I think they will try to sign at least one of those and possibly get both of them back.
And they definitely, I think, have to bring back Paul Millsap. He kind of makes them be able to play the way they do, the way he can step out and hit threes, but also still be a really solid rebounder. He was on a super bargain contract coming into Atlanta, and he's going to get paid basically his entire contract next season, so it's going to be expensive to keep him, but they have to keep him.
Yeah, you're right. You're a lot of people throwing out numbers like 16, 17, 18 mil for a guy like Millsap, and even Damari Carroll, 9, possibly 10 million a year for this. That will be. They'll have to do some moves here to get to shed a little bit of salary cap to open up. So move a couple of contracts that they have in, be it a Shelvin Mack or a Mike Scott, to probably get both these guys. Which is why I truly think they're going to keep Millsap. They're going to pay him his money. Again, guy was an all-star, 2 years there for him. I think they're going to have problems keeping Damari Carroll because there's going to be competition for a guy like this that plays on both sides of the ball. And he's played his entire life for this type of contract right here. It's not going to get better than this next coming contract. So that's a worry for me. If
you're the Hawks, it's maybe a little easier to let him go, too, knowing you have Thabo Sefolosha signed and you have an incredible player development staff. Maybe you can teach him how to shoot, hold on to the ball on fast breaks. Maybe he can be the next Damari Carroll.